Guys, one true measure of growth is when you can do the uncomfortable because you understand that it serves a greater purpose, right? Doing what doesn't necessarily feel good at the present moment because you know that there's purpose behind it, because you know that it will be of great benefit and it will have a much bigger meaning in the near future. It's the same way, when you're growing your muscles, right? When you're training, your muscles are growing, and so your body is stretching. It doesn't feel good. There's a lot of pain and aching that is attached to those physical activities that you're doing. But you understand that the pain and the soreness is a sign that your muscles are actually growing, that, the results are about to show through and come forth at some point. You understand that means there's progress being made. And I say all this to say that as of late, God's been putting me in these situations where I'm having to do the unpopular and the uncomfortable, to say the least, in order to fulfill His will. And one real life example that I can give of that is a couple of weeks ago, I reached out to my dad, and growing up, we never had a relationship, lived in the same household, but never had a relationship. And so reaching out to him was a big deal for me and for him, because this is somebody that, we were living in the same house, growing up, and I didn't even want to greet him most times. And if I'm being honest, a lot of times I didn't. I didn't greet him, and I tried my best to avoid even having to see him or interact with him. And so it's like now in my adulthood, and when I don't have any guardians telling me, oh, you must do this or you must do that, or anybody looking over my shoulder and pressuring me to do certain things, what reason do I have to reach out to this person that I don't keep in contact in constant communication with, this person that I don't see on the regular, or hear from, or any of that. And so just to show you that, how big of a deal it was for me to actually take that step. And let me just preface by saying that this is not in any way, shape, or form to glorify me. This isn't anything to show oh my goodness, or my maturity, or any of that. It's just me using a real life example for myself to help get the point across that I'm trying to make, right? And so reach out to him a couple weeks ago and invite him over my place, just to catch up, and so he can see his grandson. Kids will make you do crazy things. And so with that, he agreed to come by, and then I would say about 1 or 2 weeks after we spoke, he did come by and spent some time, I would say about 2 hours or so with me and my son in my house, and we just talked and everything. And there was a lot of mending that was done. Of course, it was one sit-in, and so it's not like, oh, a miracle was worked, a major miracle, but that in itself, I would say, is definitely a miracle. And so my driving force for doing it wasn't because I wanted to. It wasn't because oh man, yeah, I'm so excited to, see my dad and talk to him, or any of that. It wasn't any of that. I was simply just being obedient to the voice of God that has been poking me and nudging me for all this time. You need to reach out, you need to do something. Okay, once I finally did reach out, okay, what's the next step? After you reach out, you need to take it a step further. You need to invite him over, and you need to blah, 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 blah. And so the instant gratification that I received from having my dad come over happened even before he stepped foot into my doors, was when he called me and told me that he was on his way. And so then I went to my son, my 4-year-old, and I told him, hey, your grandpa's coming over to see you. He's 4. He doesn't remember who my dad is. He is too young to remember. But I have pictures of a bunch of people in my fridge, and my dad happened to be one of those people who I have a picture of on the fridge, just so at least my child can know who everybody in my life is. And so He just associated the word grandpa with the man that's on the fridge. And so when I told him that, he got so excited. And he was like, yay, oh my gosh, thank you so much, mommy. And ran and jumped on me and hugged me. Like, my son is very affectionate, but I didn't expect that kind of reaction just for me telling him that his grandfather, someone that who he probably doesn't even remember, is coming over to see him. But it was just for him, it's like, wow, I get to see someone face to face that I only saw in a picture before, someone that I know I'm supposed to know, someone that in school I'm taught about the grandparents and the this and the this family and the family tree, but I don't know who that person is. And so that was the instant gratification that I got. But then even after the fact, you know, the gratification that I received from the whole sit down was so much more worthwhile. And so you know, like I said, it wasn't anything that I genuinely, like, you know what, like I'm really passionate, I want to do. It's just, I was just following the voice of God, the voice of, you know, and I just tried to obey whatever I felt he was telling me. And while doing that, I knew that in that I was breaking generational chains, or at least in the process of breaking generational chains, because I don't want my child to grow up having dysfunctional relationships. I don't want him always questioning or wondering, where's this person, where's that person, especially when the person is easily accessible. But it's just because of my own stubbornness and my own, you know, issues that I'm like preventing him from gaining the full benefit of certain things. And my son, I would say, is a lot of the reason for the main reason for a lot of the mature acts that I've done in my life that are bigger than me. Things that I'm looking at myself, I'm like, no, this isn't me. Like, I would never. Like, I would never. And, you know, like, God uses him as a tool, as a vessel, as a route, as a pathway to get through me, to chip away all the brick, you know, cemented walls that are around my heart, and to get me to see the bigger picture, even when I don't have the whole picture quite put together. And so that was just very, very encouraging for me. Being able to do something that seemingly small, but I know will have such a powerful impact in my life, because who knows, maybe it's the beginning of something great. Because I was able to sit there and have a 2-hour-long conversation with my father, who I grew up in the same household with and never even said any more than like 2-3 words to. You know, and you know, the fact that we were able to have like these conversations and we were able to engage, and you know, him telling me that he loves me at the end of the conversation, just because, you know, something that, again, we grew up in the same house and we wouldn't exchange those types of words with one another. Not that we never felt it or meant it. At times, you know, we probably didn't, but it's like now just saying it and then hugging it out and just being able to have a mature adult conversations where I'm learning from him and he's learning from me, and we're debating back and forth about certain things, and we can be mature enough to agree to disagree on certain things and still walk away feeling healthiness for one another, instead of animosity and anguish and pain, you know? And so that was just a very healing moment for me, mainly because of what it did to my child. I mean, after you know, when he walked through the doors, you know, I had my son go out and greet him, like, you know, from the stairwell, because he was just so excited. And so my son, as soon as he saw the man coming up, he just ran and like jumped on him and hugged him, you know? And after that, he just went and like was playing with his toys the whole time my dad was there, was just playing with his toys, watching TV, not paying us any mind. So it's not that, okay, like this is this grandfather that he remembers and has this strong bond with. He just felt like he was missing something so necessary, such a necessary part of his life. And the fact that he got to at least meet that and connect with that was big for him. And so I could have never known that, because my son isn't old enough to articulate it in the way that would impact me or that would break through to me in that way. It was only through what I saw in that day, through my child, that I was able to see the revelation that God had all along. And so I just felt so blessed and so full from that moment on. And I know this is just the beginning. I know that it's not always going to be this, I would say, easy or this pleasant. Sometimes maybe some, you know, when we link up again, it might be a little bit more difficult, you know, because at the end of the day, there's still a lot of rooted trauma and just, you know, hurt and animosity that is between the both of us, and all of us really, that we still have to chip away and that we still have to heal from. But I'm grateful that at least God was able to use my child and convict me enough and literally have his Holy Spirit come over me to put my thoughts into action. Because, you know, a lot of times we say to ourselves, oh, I need to do this, or I'm gonna do that, yeah, I'm gonna do that, but we never actually muster up the courage to do it, you know. And so I am so thankful for the Spirit of God, the Holy Spirit that really came over and that made me do what I did, that made me pick up the phone and dial the number and have the conversation and, you know, follow up the week or two after, hey, are you still coming? And, you know, blah, 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 and just doing that. Things that are so unlike my character, because I am so flawed in so many ways. And, yeah, I just was very moved by that, and I felt that I needed to share that, you know, the growing pains in our lives are often the key to unlock the purpose in our lives. So don't get so caught up in purpose having to be this grand, big, you know, like magnificent, spectacular thing that we're all in such deep search of. You know, like, you will discover the purpose that God has for your life in the small things, in the simple acts of obedience, in the everyday mundane things. If we just sit and stop to let him in and let him speak to us and let him use us and let him open us up, so we can discover different parts of ourselves and new parts of ourselves. So I just felt like I needed to share that. Hopefully it was encouraging to somebody. And please don't forget to share the video and like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Bye.